Quest 3 Level 4, Synthesis. If you have not learned yet what synthesis means, it's you can look it up in your Springboard book, you can look it up online, you can ask me. But you are going to begin this level by looking at 3 examples of synthesis. One is a video about why the fight scenes in DC Extended Universe movies are not good, especially compared to Marvel Universe movies. If superheroes are not your thing, that's okay, because then you're going to watch another video that is about voting and voting restrictions. Wisconsin plays a not unimportant role in that particular video, so your home state, be on the lookout for that. And if voting isn't your thing, well, then there's an essay, an article really from the New York Times about looting. This is written in 2010 after a couple of particular catastrophic earthquakes, one in Haiti and one in Chile, and about the looting that occurred after each one of those earthquakes, where people would like go into the store and at first they're stealing food and water, but then eventually they're stealing TVs. So somewhere in those 3 syntheses somewhere in those texts, you're going to find something that maybe interests you, and you can sort of hook on to how a synthesis works by looking at the way those 2 videos and that one piece of writing do synthesis. And then we take like, I don't know, 100 steps back and we look at a slightly bigger picture. The guy who made the video about the DC and the Marvel fight scenes, his name is Evan Pushak, and he is a YouTuber. His YouTube name is The Nerd Writer. And what he does is he puts out a video every week that is just about stuff that he is interested in. And he talks about his process in the next text, which is a TED Talk. It's our final TED Talk of the semester. No, that's not true. There is one in level 4. But anyway, it's the next to last TED Talk. It's the last required. I'll say that. It's the last required TED Talk in the semester. And so he talks about his process, and he talks about how what he does is actually incredibly similar to what it means to write an essay. And so how you define the word essay is important. And that's really his argument in the TED Talk. If you remember Bullock's 3 rules of argument, number 1 was defining your terms. And so he spends a lot of time talking about what it means to do an essay, and whether that essay is on paper or online. He says there's a lot of similarity and overlap. And then you take another trip into They Say, I Say, this time looking at Chapter 2. Chapter 2 is actually called They Say, and it's about summarizing what other people have said, because that's what you are going to have to do. Bullock's 2 rules of synthesis. Number 1 is that your ideas drive the synthesis, but then number 2 is that you are providing multiple examples from multiple sources for each one of your own ideas. And if it sounds like I'm being a little cagey in my description here, I am, because again, I don't want to say in this video, before you start the level, synthesis is blah, blah. I don't want to do that. I want you to discover what synthesis is for yourself, looking up a definition, looking at these examples, and then understanding that definition in light of those examples. But that being said, you are going to write your own synthesis. And that synthesis is in answer to the question, or really in response to something that I say. If you're thinking about the they say and the I say, what I'm about to say is the they say of your synthesis essay. And what I say is that people from the same family automatically have the same cultural identity. And then you're going to agree with that or disagree with that, or say, well, Bullock is right in some ways and not right in, and if you can't tell, that's like a completely made up thing. I don't really care what your answer is. You can say that I'm right. You can say that I'm wrong. You can say that I'm kind of right. You can say I deserve a Nobel Prize for it. You can say I should be burned at the stake for it. Whatever. What I want to see is that you are creating a synthesis to defend your response, the I say part of your essay. And as always, I want to take a look at the rubric so you know how to score advanced on this level. It begins again, with comprehensive informational text, just are you clear in understanding what you see in the text that you read, including the article about looting, including chapter 2 of They Say, I Say, and there's a media literacy text that is basically the same thing. So you're reading, you're understanding the video, reading the video, I guess, of the DC Marvel fight scenes about voting and the TED Talk. Conventions of standard English and knowledge of language, these are exactly the same as they were on the previous level. Try not to make mistakes. If you feel like you are making a lot of mistakes, consult. Do a writing conference with me, with somebody else. And then use templates from the They Say, I Say book to help you accurately and effectively summarize the sources that you are using in support of your position in this essay. Now let's take a look at the synthesis standard, because this is the heart of this level's rubric. Bullock's first rule, your synthesis is driven by your ideas. So my writing at the end of the level is driven entirely by my own ideas about family and cultural identity. Bullock's second rule, bring together multiple sources to support your ideas. You're going to need to bring together 3 or more sources from this quest to support your ideas. Now, the obvious thing is to think back to level 2 of this quest, where we had the 3 sets of sisters who did not share a cultural identity. Does that mean that those are your 3 sources? No. There are plenty of other places you can go. You can go back to level 1, where Theophilos' grandson and his wife don't agree about whether or not to bring in the priest, for example. You can go back to things in quest number 2, any of those narratives from quest 2, any of the things that we did in quest number 1. You can go to your own life. My writing at the end of the level completely avoids list summaries, and my writing at the end of the level is structured in a similar way to one of the level texts. Now, a list summary, that's something you're going to come across in chapter 2 of They Say, I Say, and it really is what it sounds like. Here I'm summarizing the first source. Here I'm summarizing the second source. Here I summarize the... You get the idea. You don't want to do that in your writing. And then in terms of following the structure of one of the things that you've seen, the obvious one is going to be the written text, because you're probably going to do a written synthesis. If you want to do a video synthesis, you go for it. You knock yourself out. We'll talk about how to use Adobe Spark or whatever app you have on your phone for editing. We'll make that work. And obviously, your synthesis is not going to be as long and as detailed as the videos and the reading from this level, but I want you to think about the way those videos brought sources together, the way that writing brought different examples together in order to make an effective synthesis argument. Good luck.